cybersecurity is a big deal today. It's going to be a big deal forever, certainly in our lifetimes. And the decisions and the way we think about it today are very, very important for the future, because these are the kind of things that if you don't think about it the right way when you start, the ability to unwind it and fix it later on becomes increasingly difficult. And for that reason, when we think about it, one of the things we like to talk with people about is philosophy, right? Which is maybe kind of odd for a technology company, but we like this as a starting point to say, what's the philosophy about what we're trying to do? Because if you're not sure about where you're trying to go, the chances of getting there are pretty diminished, right? So from our philosophy perspective, we've been talking about it for a decade since we opened the doors of Palo Alto Networks to say that philosophy has to be very prevention-oriented, right? Not that there's going to be total prevention. Nobody believes that, right? We don't believe that either. But prevention orientation about what we're trying to get done. And the reason for that is that if we're not taking a prevention-oriented philosophy, we think that the simple math of what's happening in cybersecurity is going to overwhelm the digital age. And that's because if you have an ever-decreasing cost of compute power, and compute power is becoming, in essence, limitless, right? The ability to launch more and more attacks for less and less cost and make them more sophisticated is advantageous for the bad guys. And then as a result of that, we're going to see lots more attacks and lots more successful attacks, right? That's the setup. We have to do is we have to flip this on its head. We have to say, how do we actually dramatically increase the cost of a successful attack? Because not an attack, a successful attack. Because if we can do that, then economic theory would hold that we should be able to start to reduce the number of successful attacks, not attacks, but successful attacks. And that's really important because it's just math. And if we don't get the math right, we're going to have a real problem. And when we take the philosophy and start to bring that down to more actionable things, then we're talking about frameworks that are based on outcomes. And what more and more of our conversations with folks like you are about this, where they say, that's the framework on how to think about this. And whatever that is, I want to talk about it based on what outcome I'm trying to achieve. Now, historically, for a very long time, the framework that has been used for security has been one that's really a detection orientation with legacy technologies, usually delivered in point solutions, right? The outcome of that framework is very reactive and increasingly manual in nature. That's a problem. If the math is right that I just showed you about what's going to happen in the future, forget Palo Alto Networks, right? What's going to happen in the future, if the outcome of that framework is reactive and manual in nature over time, and you have a highly automated adversary, mathematically, we're just upside down, perhaps to the point you can't recover, right? So we have to have a different framework based on a different outcome, which requires a paradigm shift in thinking. And that framework that we've been espousing for some time is to say we need a prevention orientation based on next generation technology that is increasingly delivered in real platforms. Right? Again, this is not a Palo Alto Networks specific statement. It's a general statement about how to think about things from a framework perspective, because the outcome of that framework can be proactive and automated increasingly over time. And if that's where we need to be in a very proactive, automated situation, because we're fighting of highly automated adversaries, increasingly automated over time. So we can't have that mathematical imbalance around that.